Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Soviet Tier 8 Tech Tree medium tank, the Object 416, aka the Frying Pan. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Object 416, which is the Frying Pan. Why is it the Frying Pan? Well, it's just the way that the turret and the gun looks, right? If you flip it upside down to set the turret off, it looks like a frying pan. And the 416 is a tank that is very, very good at what it does. And that is, it's basically a TD. It basically is a TD. The camo on this vehicle is absolutely fantastic. And the gun is also very, very good, with good DPM. And it's one of those tanks that they buffed quite a bit. And yeah, the gun is a hell of a lot better nowadays than it used to be. One of the big downsides to the Frying Pan is the fact that you have 3 degrees of gun depression and a limited turret traverse, or a limited yaw limit is the way I should say it, really. As your gun and your turret only traverses 90 degrees to the left and 90 degrees to the right, which can be very limiting. And naturally, again, you have 3 degrees of gun depression, which means there's very limited positions that you can actually use in the 416, which means it can be very, very frustrating to use. But it's just one of those tanks that you have to learn the nuances of how to play it, and then you'll, as you go along with playing it, you'll find out where and when you want to play this vehicle and where you want to put it. And the one thing that goes with this vehicle very, very well is that camouflage, as the camo on this vehicle is filthy at 184 meters of still concealment, which is, yeah, it's just dirty. So, if you haven't guessed by the thumbnail, we're actually going for the 3rd mark of excellence in this vehicle in these 3 replays. And oh boy, we're going to have some very good games going for that 3rd mark. And it was very nice to actually achieve that in this tank, because it is a very, very good tank. So, the Frying Pan, the 416, it's got 50 km/h top speed with a 20 km/h reverse speed, 400 horsepower engine, which is 16.67 horsepower per ton ratio, which means that you will get up to that 50 km/h top speed pretty easily, and 20 km/h reverse speed is also pretty dang nice for the Object 416. You got 12% internal fire chance, which is on the low end of fire chances, but yeah, again, it's a Soviet vehicle that has a 12% internal fire chance, but it gets set on fire a lot more than it says it should. And that's because the fuel tanks are in the front with the engine, etc, etc. Which means that, yeah, it does like getting set on fire, which can be a bit frustrating. 52 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed on the track traverse is very, very quick. This tank does turn super duper fast, and that's glorious for the Object on 416. Your terrain resistances are fantastic. They don't hold the tank back whatsoever. With a 184 meters of still concealment, that is incredible. The camo on this vehicle is absolutely insane. And it can stay unspotted in so many situations. And it's why you want to spec out your crew for camo on this vehicle, because that is the key strength of the vehicle, especially since you obviously don't really have that much armor to begin with. 209 meters of on the move concealment as well with silent driving means that it is super stealthy even getting into position. It is very difficult to spot this tank. It's naturally only when you fire that you're more likely to get spotted, but if you're using your camouflage correctly by going and shooting behind bushes, things like that, and using muffled shot, it's going to be a very difficult tank to dig out and find where it is. You got 486 meters of view range, which is very, very nice for the Object 416, as it helps you to spot out for yourself very, very easily in this vehicle. And that means you can actually play this thing like a light tank at times. You can push aggressively to a spotter bush, go sit in it, and you are very difficult to spot because your camo is amazing. And with 486 meters of view range, you'll be able to spot the enemy team pretty easily as well, boosting up how much assistance damage you are achieving. You got 43.44 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is slower than the track, so bear that in mind that your turret does turn slower, and that can be a bit of a pain at times. With a 1.2 accuracy during rotation, that's pretty atrocious to be fair, but a 1.5 accuracy during movement isn't quite that bad. So when you move this tank forwards and backwards, as you can see, the aim circle doesn't bloom out that badly at all, but when you turn the tracks and the turret, the aim circle starts to grow large very, very quickly because that accuracy during rotation is so poor. But the accuracy during movement is not too bad, which is quite nice for it. But the fact is, you have 1.75 second aim time with the build that I run, which means that the gun aims in super duper quickly. making this gun with .28 accuracy at 100 meters feels super duper accurate, feels like it's ready to go instantly, almost. And then you've got a 6.34 second reload, which is 3,027 DPM with the build that I run, which means you've got very nice DPM for a tier 8 medium as well. I mean, you can just farm up like a TD very, very easily in this tank and have a great time. You've also got 221mm of penetration on the standard AP, which is pretty okay for a tier 8 medium tank. And you'll be able to pen most of the tier 8s with that quite easily and below. Some tier 9s you'll be able to pen with that, but you'll start to struggle against quite a few tier 10s. But that's where the 330 heat pen that this vehicle gets comes into play, as 330 heat pen is absolutely beautiful, and doesn't matter what tier of tank you're facing with that kind of penetration, you absolutely butcher them all with that 330 heat pen, as it is similar to what the old T-54, well, in fact, it's probably the same as what the T-54 gets now. Very similar to a lot of the other Soviet medium tanks with a 100mm gun. You have 320 Alpha with this gun, and 895 meters a second shell velocity on all 3 rounds on the 416. Now, the shell velocity is not the best in the universe, as it is below that average 1,000 meters a second mark, which means you do have to give quite a bit of lead to hit your targets. There isn't any difference between which round you fire, though, which is nice. You never really have to adjust. But just remember to give a good lead on targets at distance to be able to hit your shots in the 416, as that shell velocity can make this gun feel a little bit derpy at times. But yeah, the 416, it is a pretty damn nice tank. The statistics that you've got out of it are fantastic. The only real downside to this vehicle is that limited turret traverse and the 3 degrees of gun depression, but you just learn to play around the 3 degrees of gun depression. As you've seen so far in this replay, we find different positions where we can just keep this gun farming up. So what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment on the old 416? Well, we do specialise to camo, and that is we run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Running Gun, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Muffled Shot, the Advanced Loader, the Camo Net, and Optics. Optics, you'll have to get that 486 meters of view range with situational awareness and Born Leader, etc. The Camo Net to get the camo down to that fantastic 184 meters of still concealment. The Advanced Loader to get the great 3k DPM that we have on this vehicle. With all 3 camo perks mixed in with that Camouflage Net to be able to get that fantastic camo, to retain it while being on the move with Silent Driving, and to reduce the effect of firing on our camo with Muffled Shot. And then Steady Aim and Run and Gun to get the accuracy during movement down as low as possible, so that when we're moving, this aim circle doesn't bloom out too badly, and the Steady Aim to make it more accurate in general, as that is always nice to do on a vehicle like the 416. Now, if you really wanted to go all out on the camo, you could also just drop Run and Gun and go for Green Thumb, so that you could have better camouflage in a bush, which could work as a meme, and that kind of meme is a thing that you could do to be able to have that fantastic camo in a bush, and again play it as that scouty role. So as you've seen in this first replay, we're up to 5,058 damage, 1,861 assistance so far, and this game was super close at one stage, and we're just trying to pick up the rest of the enemy vehicles. So we're up to 4 kills now with 5.1k damage. There's only 1 tank left on the enemy team. It is this 502A. We've only got heat rounds left, so I know I'm going to go through this guy's turret every time. I've got loads of hit points left. I'm not really bothered about sitting in front of this guy. I'm like, go on then, you can shoot me. Just let me shoot you. And the heat round goes straight through the front of the VK4502A because of that fantastic heat pen. We finished the game with the victory. 5 kills, 5.6k damage, 2.3k base XP. Is a fantastic base XP score for this vehicle. The ace tanker, the high caliber. And yeah, that was the frying pan. You play it like that, TD. You play it with the camo in mind. You can get in and around the enemy vehicles. They struggle to spot you, and you can just farm them up super duper quickly, which is very, very nice for this vehicle. It's one of those where the gun genuinely feels so much, it just feels so good, and feels like you're using a gun that's not for the tier, you know, which is the way that a lot of TD guns generally go, where you feel like, oh, this gun doesn't feel like a tier 8 gun, but then you get the drawbacks of being that TD, right? This tank, the only real drawback, like I say, is that poor gun depression and, the real lack of armour. But because of the angles on the tank, you can get some really funky bounces. Now, should you be going frontlining in the 416 going, haha, try it now, people, you're going to bounce all your shots. No, 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 you're going to die very fast if you do that. But the 416, you know, if you put it in certain positions at times, it can just go, hello, ricochet, because of the angles on the upper plate, etc. You do have 45mm of side armor, by the way, which means it's quite difficult for a lot of vehicles to be able to actually overmatch your side. So if you do end up in a situation where you have to be brawly, and you are in sort of a city map like Ensk has just come back, right? Like Ensk, you can just try to at least make them bounce by side scraping, because the vehicle could do it. You just got to be careful that they don't catch the side of the turret when you do it, which means you can conceivably do it, but do you want to be doing it? No, right? It's not advisable. So this second replay, we're in the worst matchup we could have. It's tier 10s. We've got 906 damage so far on Erlenberg. We've taken ourselves to this little position here with the 416, and that's because we can make it work with our 3 degrees of gun depression and get shots at people like that E100, like the Chaug and the AVRE. And this is where 330 heat pen, by the way, is absolutely beautiful. Because, yeah, 221 is not really going to do very well against a Chaug, E100, etc. But heat rounds will. And that's what's happened. We managed to pen the turret ring of the Chaug a bit earlier. We've gone straight through the front of the turret of that E100. And if the E100's turret is facing straight towards us, we should be able to go through it because, well, 330 heat pen just generally can. Sadly, though, it bounces. He took a blind fire at us. Oh, goodness. That was a thing to do, wasn't it? Why did he go for that blind fire? That was weird. But, hey, well, fine, you do use it. The Tyrann ends up shooting him, though, straight through the turret because, yeah, Tyrann does Tyrann things. And the threat to this flank is gone. So we're going to go set ourselves up in a position to try and cut off the enemy team as they push down the HJK, if any of them are. As you can see, there is currently a medium tank that's gone into the river basin at K6. But the thing is, with our team pushing down the ABC, maybe we can push across towards the bridge area and spot camping TDs and things that do like to sit at DE3. And we've actually found a 4005 and a Carnarvon, and you can see me going, oh no, nope, nope, no, 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 I don't want it. So we've got back behind this building, now we're unspotted, we're going to take the blind fire. We do actually hit that Carnarvon because he was quite clearly crossing before he got unspotted. Just being as careful as possible because I don't really want to get blind fire by a 4005, you know, it's not... I don't want to take 183mm of pain. It's not advisable. Speaking from experience, okay? So, we get a shot through the SU-130 PM, who gets spotted, and the 268 just deletes the poor guy. That poor guy. We're up to 1926 damage, looking for the shot into the Carnarvon, maybe the 4005. If we could get rid of that 4005, that would be glorious. And the Dragon gets spotted up right next to him, but sadly we're just in a position where we couldn't quite get the shot into him, and the AP shell does end up flying behind that 4005 because it was a little bit snapped in. We didn't fully wait for it because I felt like my opportunity to fire at that guy was going to disappear pretty quickly. So we see the E5 in the basin at G5, or J5, sorry, but I couldn't quite get a shot underneath the bridge. Now find... Oh, what brick... 100mm tank shell, brick wall, well, not even brick wall, stone wall goes, ha! I see your shell, and I take it. Thank you for the souvenir. Stone wall, why? We went for the shot into the Tyrann, and the stone wall said, you know what, no, I'm going to take your tank shell and stop it dead. Because of course it did. But we do manage to get a shot into that Tyrann, which is great. Looking for a possible shot into the E4, but there's just buildings in the way. I can't quite find the gap where he is. I don't really want to push up towards where this Tyrann is truly at this point, because if that E4 was just to turn around and smash us, yeah, it wouldn't be a very good time. But he seems distracted with the TD that's at H5, so we're just going to push in towards where the Tyrann was anyway. We managed to get a shot into him before we pushed up. Now we're behind this Dragon and the Tyrann. So we're going to focus out the Tyrann. Mr. Dragon, you're not really the target at this point. I want to shoot the Tyrann because, well, Mr. Tyrann is very, very dangerous. Now the Tyrann is gone, we can track the Dragon, which, with Mr. Sturm Tiger coming along, gives us some lovely assistance. As that seemed a little bit overkill, Mr. Sturm Tiger, but, you know, we'll take the free tracking damage. Thank you very much. 2 tanks left on enemy team, a TD and this E5. The E5 gets taken out, and there's the TD. It's a full health Panzerjäger, so we're just going to go in on him, set him on fire with the very first shot. Very, very fortunate, but we'll take it. He bounces off our turret front, which is what, again, What I'm saying with the 416, don't ever rely on the armor, but occasionally you can get a juicy little bounce off of it. And he did end up penning us in the end, but we just shut him down with the final shot into that Panzerjäger and finished the game with the victory. 2 kills, 4.2, nearly 4.3k damage, 2k assistance, that's 6.2k combined. The ace tanker were at 93.93. Very, very nice game for the 416 there in a very bottom tier matchup on Erlenberg. And it showed what the tank can do even against tier 10s. Like I say, the 330 heat pen is a thing of beauty, and it will just butcher tanks really easily. And if you can't pen them with AP, because 221 is you know, fairly average at this point for tier 8 and fairly good for tier 8, it's not going to it's going to struggle a fair bit against a lot of the heavies, right, at tier 9 and 10. So the moment you press A and load heat, you just go, now I can pen you, and it's a beautiful thing. It's one of the best pens at tier 8, I'm pretty sure, 330 heat pen. One of them, there's a couple that do get up to that sort of level, like on the Panzerjäger and other vehicles like that as well. But it's a very, very nice asset for the vehicle to have. So, we're on the third and final replay, and this is the one we're going to be getting that third mark on, and we're on Lakeville. And on Lakeville, what we're doing is we've come to the Lake Road. Why? Because, again, we have 184 metres of steel concealment. We've got beautiful camouflage. It's going to be very, very difficult to spot us, unless someone like an AMX-30 does that, and YOLO straight down. But death came swiftly for the AMX-30. We got one shot into him. It was a bit of a risk, because I knew exactly what that MX-30 was doing. It was quite obvious what they were doing, and that is full sending down the Lake Road. And we just took advantage of that to get one shot straight through them and get our free shot of damage. But it was also a risk because, well, you know, there was a couple of people shooting this way, or towards where our campers were. And if I got spotted there, in the world that we live in where, you know, accuracy doesn't really mean all that much, and most tanks are stupidly accurate and snapshot like gods, there's quite high potential we could have just gone, snap, lose loads of hit points, sad times. And it happened there, right, with the shot into the CC Mark II. The Contracaro got spotted. We tried to put a heat shell straight through the side of his turret. It didn't quite work out, but we got spotted for it, and they instantly snapped us. But, thankfully, they only did track damage. But seeing as where the enemy team is, there's a lot of them on the 2 line. We know there's some people down there. We're just going to push to this rock quite aggressively. Why? Because, well, our team does need to start moving up through the town. And we are pushing for that third mark of excellence. So we need as much damage and assistance as we can possibly push out the game. And if we wait too long, our team might just push straight through the valley and kill everyone dead quickly, which would not be good for our gains. But also, it could end up being that their team crushes our team that are coming out of the valley, and we get stuck with most of their team left, and we've not done anything. So we really need our team to push through the town, and I'm at this point saying I can't push forward yet. I need to wait for that AMX that I was wiggling my gun at there. I need to wait for them to push, because there's stuff down at A8, and it means that if it gets spotted, it'll start shooting at me. And there we go. It is the T-34-3, and that is a tank that is not A8, but it was down there. I knew there was something down in that region, but the moment that we poked out the town is the moment that I could be able to get the shots into him and get the kill, and then I could progress safely along here. And what I can now do is push around the corner to my left, because then I can also spot the guys up at B23, and that'll feed me some assistance damage. I was still being wary of anything possibly on my right, but there we go. We end up spotting the Draugen, and where our team was made me go, okay, there's nothing there. So we've got a shot into the Draugen, and we got a bit of assistance there from our team that's down behind us. We're up to 1276 damage with 502 assistance, and this is where we're going to go for the spot. And there's the Contracaro 1 Mark II, the tank that ran away from us. Skoda T56, the 283, the UDES 03, the other 283. Oh my lord, that's a lot of their team, and that what I feared would happen has happened. And that is their team has absolutely crushed, and I mean crushed, the guys coming through the valley. Which means there's 8 of us against, no, 10 of them, which is fine. But it's in a really big choke point battle, which is not good for an Object 416. And that's my dilemma. I'm not going to do anything here. I'm not in a good place for the Object 416 whatsoever. We're just going to die if I stay here. So instead, what I'm going to do is use my mobility and get out of dodge as quickly as possible. And what I'm going to do with that mobility is put myself in a better place to shoot the guys at B23 and use the actual strength of the tank. Because at this point, I've been a bit of an idiot. I've frontlined it, and I've sat there going, what am I doing? I'm in a tank with 184 meters of still concealment. It's got amazing camo. I know there's a rock back here that I can shoot anybody at B123 very easily without really ever getting spotted, because there's a lot of bush cover. So we're in the perfect spot. We're looking for shots at the ISU, couldn't find it. Tiger 2. Heat round straight through the turret front of Mr. VK4502A. It's not a Tiger 2. I just thought it looked like it for a second. It looked like a stock Tiger 2. But it's a VK4502A. And we're in the perfect spot. Now, we've got to be careful, naturally, because these guys could just try and blind fire my position. It is fairly obvious, and if they wait for watching the shell tracers, they could find them. But we're going to keep putting shots through the front of these guys really easily because of that 330 heat. An STRV 1030 gets spotted on the middle road, so we put a shot through that 1030. Now, we can't pen it reliably with AP. In fact, we can't really pen it with AP if it's pointing its gun at us. But well, that's because of the armor on the STRV 1030. And the fact that you need over a 122mm gun to be able to overmatch it. Whereas, if we were to fire heat at it, because of normalization and the fact that the heat doesn't get any, we would actually be able to pen that STRV 1030. So we've got the perfect round, but the problem is we're starting to run low on heat rounds because this tank doesn't get that much ammunition, and we're firing quite a bit of it to be able to actually get through these tanks, because at this point we can't actually pen many of them while they're hull down and stuff like that with AP. And oh, moisture, that's perfect for us to be able to get through with heat rounds again. 221 pen will really struggle with the moisture, but the turret cheeks, yeah, absolutely not. So we just need these guys to keep getting spotted up on the corner at B2. I'm pretty sure I'm the one spotting these guys, so it's quite nice to be able to spot them while also getting shots in. And we're in a bad time now, by the way. 8-3, the team's collapsed. It's not going well. Just waiting for that Skoda T56 to give me a nice shot. And that was a pixel shot straight through his lower plate. That's just how good this gun can be. The Contra 1 Mark II is pushing forward, so we really need to shut this guy down before he spots us. There we go, final heat round out, and we finish off the CC1 Mark II there to secure our first kill of the game, but up to 4.4k damage with 1,059 assistance damage, which we've probably secured the third mark at this point. But we want to win this game, so we're going to push out, because they know exactly where we are. We got spotted, there's only 2 of us left, there's the medium tank down below. So we're just going to try and keep these guys lit up a bit while trying to do a fighting retreat. And by doing a fighting retreat, we're going to keep poking out, using the bushes, putting shots out into the enemy team, and then running away where we can. So the MX-65T, sadly for me, ended up in a position where I couldn't see him. We pushed back out of the bush to be able to spot the VK4502A, get a shot through his lower plate, and the Leopard PTA next to me, who is a godsend, because we really need this guy to help us, which is great, finishes off that VK4502A, and I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I'm going to go low. I'm going to go low to try and find the 65T so that the Leopard can shoot him and I can try and get a shot into him. But then I can also try and spot and shoot the middle road. Now, I know I'm not going to die to a shot from that 65T. I'm very unlucky that the first shot bounced, which meant we had to take a hit. But we do end up finishing him off with this next shell. And again, I'm waiting until I get unspotted before I do anything, because we do know the stuff on that middle road. And with stuff being on that middle road, it's just gonna spot us and kill us if we're not careful. So we're gonna move back through the town, because again, we know there was an STRV 1030 on the middle road. We know there was a moisture over there as well, and possibly another TD towards their base. So we're gonna poke out of these little lanes to see if we can actually spot them, because I expect the moisture and the STRV 1030 are pushing up the 4 line and down the B line. But as we push out, it's disaster. The moisture's actually pushed back down the Lake Road and down the JK, completely caught me off guard, because I fully expected him to be pushing towards the B line and down that way. But hey-ho, the Leopard PTA ends up winning the game for us, and finished the game with 4.9k damage, 2.5k assistance, the Ace Tanker, the Confederate. We got the third mark of excellence with the 2029 base XP, a very, very nice game there for the 416 in a tier 9 game, finishing off the 3rd mark in what is a very, very good tank in the frying pan. It is a great tank, it really is, at what it does, and that is staying stealth, using the good DPM, and just farming up, which is what this tank can do very, very easily. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!